Time. Lisa. The League, I've told you all about this, right? Everybody's heard about the League. I'll spare you that. This is being live streamed on the Town of Paradise website. And other than that, we ask you not to make videos or record the content. The League, when the League does record these forums, we hold responsibility for them, and they may not be used without our permission. The candidates for the school board, and I just lost the list. Oh, there it is. Susan Davis. Which one? Down there. Melissa Crick. Zach Connell, is that how you say it? Connell. Zach Connell. And Emily Vale. Each candidate will have 1 minute opening statement, and then we'll also have 1 minute to answer questions. We've received 2 questions from the audience, and we have some others in our hip pocket. So if you have more questions, please bring them up to us. They will have 1 minute opening statement and 1 minute to answer each question, and then opportunity for a 1 minute closing statement. Please hold your applause until the end, and we thank them. We thank everyone, including you, for your participation. In terms of opening statements, Zach will go first. You have 1 minute.
Good evening, everybody. Because I have 1 minute, I'm going to speed through this. So my name is Zach Connell. I was born and raised here in Paradise. I was born here in 2005. I went to Paradise High School, graduated. I'm a product of PUSD education. I am the current board treasurer of the Gold Nugget Museum. I am on the Paradise High School Site Council. I'm a paralegal intern at CSU Chico at the Community Legal Information Clinic. I sit on the Paradise High Social Justice Committee. I am a proud Paradise Rotarian with my friend Melissa Crick. And I am running on a campaign that primarily includes anti-bullying, as well as promoting measures of transparency and safety in our schools. I'm very proud to be here tonight, to be sitting in front of all of you, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Hi. As one of the incumbents, I'm here because I feel I have a certain skill set that can benefit our town. I had 2 children go through the elementary, middle school, and high school here. I taught for years at Paradise Elementary School and taught briefly at Pine Ridge before I became a site administrator at Ponderosa Elementary School. I was happy to serve there 11 years before going to the district office, where my responsibilities included human resources, recruiting and interviewing, and hiring of staff. Also, I was charged with overseeing curriculum, instruction, assessment, and so I bring the point of view of a parent, but also as a very experienced educator.
Thank you. Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Vale. I was born and raised here on the Ridge. The only time I haven't lived here is when I went away to go to college, where I met my husband and we moved back. We've raised our 3 children here, all of which have gone through the Paradise school system and graduated Paradise High. My husband and I own a local business. We've had it for 23 years, so I know how to make things work and how to make those really hard decisions that you don't want to have to make, but you have to, and you know that you're not always going to make everybody happy. A lot of my love for the school and wanting to be on the school board is because of the great experience that I had. I had an 8th grade teacher that really shaped who I became. He told me that I could do anything I wanted if I was just willing to put in the effort, and that really has stuck with me, and I want to continue the great success of the schools.
Thank you. Melissa.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. Melissa Crick. I first came to the school board in 2016 as a Magalia mom who felt very passionately that I didn't like what was happening with my kiddo's school. I'm a firm believer that you can't complain unless you try to fix the problem, so here I am. I work for a nonprofit that provides free construction CTE training to all folks, but a focus on students. I think that's a huge area of growth for our district. I feel quite passionately that the district is in one of the most critical times it'll probably ever see, and I believe in the leadership that we have. And I hope to run alongside these two ladies to continue that leadership, because there's been some great work done since the fire, but there is a lot of work that still needs to be done. So I look forward to the opportunity to continue to serve, and continued opportunity with conversation with community members, and opportunity to hear back what the needs are that we still have, that we haven't addressed yet. What more can we do for our students?
Thank you. Thank you. This next question, if elected, what would be your budgeting priorities? And Susan is first.
I kind of hearken back to when the town council candidates were up here. There's always great need, and those are some of the hard decisions that need to be made. I think the district has done an amazing job in making sure the schools are rebuilt, and rebuilt in the kind of quality that our community deserves. One thing we didn't know at the time was how great the need was going to be, how quick our growth was going to be. So we are going out for a bond, Measure G, in hopes of getting Paradise Elementary School back. At the time, after the fire, I read numerous articles from around the nation saying no town has ever suffered the kind of catastrophic event that we suffered and come back from that. And yet here we are, and the school district is a huge part of that. And so I think that our funding has to aim towards getting our next elementary school built for our kiddos.
Thank you. Emily.
I think that's a pretty broad question, because as a school district, we have different budgets, different buckets of money, different funding. So in order to build a school, those are going to come out of, Fund 40 or Fund 25, 35, versus the salary of our teachers and the PG&E bills and whatnot. So it's not just a simple answer in the aspect of, here's a huge pocket of money, here's your $35 million for the year, what are you going to do with it? They all have to come out of the categories that we're allowed to pull them out of. I think a lot of it is going to be getting quality teachers so that they can support our kids where they need to and give them a good education.
Thank you. Melissa.
Let's collectively acknowledge how funny it is to talk about the budget in a minute. Having said that, my budgeting priorities would be maintaining the goals that the district has set. Our district, and when I say our, I'm not talking about the board. I'm talking, much like we heard from the town, we have phenomenal leadership in this district. Our superintendent, Mr. Taylor, is with us this evening. Our administrators, our admin staff at the district office have created reserves that are well beyond what is required, and then give us significant cushion to continue the work that we've done. Construction is a huge priority, because we've got to have facilities that will allow us to educate not only the children that attend today, but our grandchildren, their grandchildren. We know that the last time we saw significant construction in Paradise was about 50 years ago. So these schools must carry us well into the future. So I think, much like any other board role, it's very important to know the role of a board member, which is not to get into the numbers. It's to set direction and policy and support the phenomenal staff that we have in achieving those goals.
Zach.
So, that's it. Okay. So I'd like to commend the current board for the fiscal responsibility it has demonstrated, post-fire and everything. I think that the budget has been responsibly handled. The only thing that I would really say, that if elected to be a trustee, one of the things that I would really like to see is more of an investment in special education. I have personal experience in this. My brother, he went to Paradise Junior High School. He has a severe ADHD issue, among other things, and he was not given the adequate services that he needed to succeed in his education, and as a result of that, we ended up having to pull him. So as a trustee, I would like to fight for our special education parents, and really see that more funding is put towards these programs, and we're taking a closer look at these, and we're being more inclusive of these groups of kids.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is, what do you have to say about the rising expulsion rates in our district? And this is going to Emily first.
So my first thought is it's not just the district. It's statewide, it's nationwide. We are in a very troubling time. There are certain things that are set by the state as far as how we handle different situations. So it's not necessarily our decision. It's if X is done, then Y is the consequence. With that said, we have invested in our schools. We have more counselors in there. We have different programs. We have Ridge Retreat. We have implemented some policies to try to help those kiddos that need that extra help. It is a troubling time. We have been through a lot. That being said, we are not unique in the rise of expulsions.
Okay, thank you. And Melissa?
I think that this is an issue that we're seeing nationwide. In fact, we receive data on that quite frequently. Again, this is an example of supporting and knowing and trusting your staff. Dina Capsalis is our Director of Student Services. If you don't know Dina, she's an incredible human and an even better educator and friend to the educational community. We have some social emotional problems on the Ridge, certainly, and I would argue magnified beyond what the rest of the nation is seeing. The district has taken significant steps to address those. We have brought in our social emotional learning program is Ruler. Through that, we are investing that in every area of the district. Each of our sites, each of our administrators, our teachers, all of our employees across the district meet weekly to discuss these goals and to brainstorm and address what's working, what's gone well. They have workshops in which they discuss what systems, what plans did they put in place at their site or in their classroom that worked, how did it work, why did it work, when did it not work, and what can we do differently. That minute is quick.
Thank you. Zach?
So for the rising expulsion rates for Paradise Unified, the student representatives on the board have made an apparent concern of it, and it is a valid concern. As a trustee, one of my solutions would be to implement what is called in-school suspension. Under California Education Code Section 48911.1, this authorizes a school site to implement criteria for an in-school suspension program. An in-school suspension program offers a child positive reinforcement to correct the behavior, why they committed this behavior, and to ensure that it does not happen again. It also provides a child a space to catch up on his or her work and really get down to the bottom as to why they're causing this or why they're demonstrating this type of behavior pattern. I think that what we need to do is implement this program. You know, if I don't get elected, if I do, I think that this program would be beneficial to kids on the Ridge, especially with the high statistics that we're seeing of expulsion rates, of social emotional issues, and other things in that category.
Excuse me, Susan?
When I hear it said that the suspension and expulsion rate is not unique to Paradise, it's in fact statewide and nationwide, we have to come back around to, and yet, here it is, and we have to find out ways to deal with it. That's one thing I am very proud of the school. We have had, I'm so glad you mentioned in-school suspension. I've been familiar with that program for some time. And what we've learned about kids who are acting out, have high behavior, impulse control, is they need to be wrapped up and included rather than excluded. I think the days of, spare the rod, there was a time perhaps when that was very effective. But in our public schools of today, when we have children who have been through great trauma, like all of us have, certainly our kiddos have, I think we have to find a way to offer them supports, not push them away, but bring them in closer, and that's what the district is doing.
Thank you. So I have a hard question. Ready? How would you respond to challenges to books or curriculum that arise from parents or members of the community rather than through the educational pipeline?
I'll answer.
Who's first? Melissa.
That is a fun question. So I think the appropriate answer, and I would hope the common answer would be that curriculum is set, the standard is set. We have some ability to pick and choose within those standards, but that's where that ability ends. It is not appropriate for any party on either side of any aisle to set curriculum in an educational environment. And we saw examples of not necessarily books, but of this desire from the community during COVID, right? We had folks that were very passionate that our board should take action in one direction or another. And one of the things that I'm most proud of, no matter how frustrating it was that our board followed the direction of those that are required to make those decisions. I feel very passionately that you don't want a couple of folks from Magalia and Paradise making decisions, one way or the other that's not their lane very solidly. No one person can be an expert on all things. The role of a board member, especially when leading a massive agency like a district or a town, is to know your role and stay in that role.
I concur with Ms. Crick. The State Board of Education for California and the California Department of Education, they are the people that set these guidelines on how we have to administer curriculum to our students. Small school boards like ours, you don't really get a say in what you can or cannot teach your child. It's set in state law and state regulations. Just to echo what she did say, we have a little bit of wiggle room in terms of what else we can teach, but the state sets the bare minimum, and sometimes the bare minimum is all you can do with curriculum. So we will follow state law, I basically agree with Melissa here about the curriculum.
Susan?
This is a great question because it evokes such passion with so many people. And here's the deal. I can be passionate about one angle or the other. I can have strong opinions about it. I can tell you how I feel. And none of that really matters because my role as a board member is to follow the law, the Constitution of California. For people who have concerns about particular books or access to media, there is a process for that. We have a district policy, all of which is online in the spirit of transparency, and you can access that and you can say, I'm concerned about this book, this is why, and that begins a review process that we go through. So it's not any one or two or 10 of us saying, I don't think we should have that. It's like that's not the role we play, and we need to be faithful to the laws of the land.
I really did not want to be last on this one. To kind of continue with what Susan was saying, I think it's important if there's a particular person who's really struggling with a book or a group of parents to sit down and listen to them. Though it might not be our decision, you still need to hear their concerns, and maybe there's a workaround. Our curriculum is open for the public to come and see. It's not, this teacher's not going to go hide in the corner and hand out this book and say, here, the students need to read this. Betsy Amos works at our district office, is amazing. She's over our curriculum. If there's ever any questions, the doors is always open to sit down and discuss what those concerns are. And like I said, there very well could be a workaround.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Are you aware that parents do not feel comfortable approaching the board, and how can you fix it? And this goes to Zach.
I'm so glad I'm first on this question. So I feel like that, I've been going around in the community and everything. As everyone knows, I am challenging. So there's quite a bit of campaigning involved. So you got to go talk to a lot of people. And one of the things that I've been hearing about most, especially from parents, is that they just don't feel comfortable approaching the board because it's not welcoming. Sometimes people don't have time to make the board meetings. A lot of times people will go and say, well, I have a problem with this or that. The response is go to a board meeting. Some people can't make them. One of my solutions to this is to record our board meetings and publish them, and this is legal, under the Government Code 54953.6, which allows an agency to put responsibilities on itself to publish its meetings and make them public. I feel like if everybody got a chance to know the trustees and know who they are, they'd probably feel a lot more comfortable approaching them. So that would be my solution, but also just creating a more collaborative and welcoming environment for our parents and empowering them to have, to participate in their child's education.
Thank you. Susan?
I heard town council candidates referencing this point about community involvement. You want community involvement, and sometimes, for one reason or another, it doesn't happen. We feel the same way. We have at least one board meeting a month. All of those agendas are published in full in advance. Really, with the warmest hearts, we welcome people to attend our meetings and tell us what's working and tell us what's not working for you. That's why we've chosen to be in these positions. Yeah, that kind of hurts my heart that people feel uncomfortable. We're really nice guys, we're very receptive, and we take our responsibility to listen to the citizenry very, very important.
Okay, thank you. And Emily?
I guess I was on the whole time. I agree with Susan. It hurts my heart as well to hear that. I think one of the advantages of our board is, our current board is all 5 of us come from a different walk of life. Some of us live in Paradise, some of us live in Magalia, some of us are retired, some of us are business owners. So having all of those different avenues, I know I get approached often from people that I don't know, but yet they've seen me at the events or they've seen me at board meetings. And I think that goes the same for all of us. And so I think it's really more just, I guess, communicating with them that we're available, willing to talk. All of our phone numbers are on the district website. It's easy to get a hold of us. We're around, and I would just encourage people to come and talk to one of us. All 5 of us can't be that scary.
Thank you. Melissa?
Thank you.
I would agree and challenge that a bit. I would say that our board is probably arguably the most visible school board, at least in my memory, on this ridge. We are readily available, and even during our toughest times, during COVID, when people were pretty angry with us, we met them at coffee shops, we hosted additional meetings at our school, non-school board meetings where people could just come and talk openly all over the community. We're involved in nearly every board, every organization on the ridge. To note Mr. Connell's point about airing our meetings, while I recognize that that information is available online, what you don't realize is that that conversation has happened again and again with our bargaining units, with our attorneys. We've gone through that process. It is not so simple to say that we have this ed code or this direction that can or could be the process of a district. We vet all of that to a redundancy that is sometimes very aggravating, and our bargaining units agree. There are some considerable obstacles, Brown Act violation, because if we air the meetings, we can't necessarily guarantee Magalia and Sterling City get it, so they don't have equal access. We're not allowed.
Thank you. I want to ad-lib a question. I'm sorry. I have the opportunity to work with some students. I'm planning they're working on the state seal of community engagement. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. And one of the questions they raised is, how can the community be educated about the issues students face in school so they can support the students better, whether it's bullying or vaping or whatever is going on, and people, inside the schools that the community needs to know about and could help with. Any thoughts? And Susan. Zach? Susan, you're first.
Could you repeat that? There was a lot, and my mind was going, and I thought, what's the question?
Well, Susan, do you have?
I want,
Oh, you want the question again?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
that's all right.
How can the school board educate the community about the issues that students in the schools face and support them in one sense?
So there are a variety of ways that can happen, and there are multiple venues for us to receive that kind of information aside from the school board and, the give and take of information. Every school has a school site council that welcomes parents and community members to get and share that kind of information. Mr. Taylor, our superintendent, has a superintendent's council, one where he invites any employees that want to come, one where any community members that have something to share or comment on can attend. We have also, bless the public's heart, dispersed many, many surveys over the last few years. Given what the community has gone through, we want to have a pulse on what's important to the community and how we respond to that. We know that that partnership is critical for student success.
Thank you. Emily?
I definitely feel like that's one of the unique parts of Paradise is we're all kind of one big family. And so the more people involved in our kiddo schools, I feel like the better. So if there's community members out there that are willing and wanting to help, it's really just a simple reach out, whether it's to a specific school site, whether it's to the district office, whether it's if you have a grandchild in there, a classroom. There's lots of different ways as far as communicating what the needs are. Again, we kind of like what the town council said, we would love for people to come to our board meetings. We often address different struggles that are happening as well as the successes and why it was successful. And so maybe you would hear something that you thought, oh, I have this unique talent or I have this resource that can turn around and help a school site.
Thank you. Melissa?
So one of the ways that we're doing this is through the makeup of the board. You heard us touch a bit on having a diverse board. We now have 2 Magalia representatives, myself and Mr. Gendry, 3 Paradise representatives, Emily, Susan, and Bill Sherritt, who's here tonight as well. We also have 2 student board members who are full-fledged board members. They take action, offer policy, have all the same rights as the board, less access to confidential information. So we use them as a voice amongst the youth on the Ridge. Rich and I act as a voice for Magalia. We reach out to our community partners. We have fantastic relationships with police and fire and town council, and we value those, and we work hard to maintain those because we know that our friends and community are going to share what's actually going on in the district, what they see as needs, what they need from us. How can we support them through our actions? And one of the things I think this board does really well is making friends of critics. When we have a strong voice, when somebody speaks out passionately about special ed, we're going to pull them in. We're going to have a lengthy conversation about what is happening, what resources are available, and how we can do things better.
Thank you. Zach?
I have to agree with Melissa on some issues that if there's like an issue facing our students, they do a very good job at making sure that our students are educated about that issue. I think that our board does do a very good job at outreach. But I do want to say that with some issues that do face our students today, such as tobacco use rising in our schools, alcohol use rising in our schools, we need to do a better job at educating our students about the dangers of these issues. Rather than just bringing in guest speakers, bring in people who have struggled from these issues directly, firsthand experience, and tell our students, why this is bad, why you shouldn't be doing it. But in all respective purposes, I do think that our board has done a good job for the most part at outreach for our students and educating them on problems that do face them today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it? Yes. Okay, I have a couple of questions left. I'm going to put a shout out. If anyone has a question, please, by all means, bring it up. The next question is, what do you think your constituents want from you? And I'm going to start with Emily.
I am kind of known for being a little bit nitpicky, and I think that's kind of my title on the board, a little bit anal. But that being said, I'm good with it. I will sit there and look at all of the little details, because if there is a small little error, there could be serious consequences because of it. And so I think that not just taking for granted, oh, here's a document, here's a legal piece of paper, do you agree? Well, we might agree on the policy that we've talked over, but taking that time and effort to sit there and sometimes read those really long pages to make sure that what we are approving is exactly what we thought we were approving.
Okay, thank you. And Melissa?
I think that what folks want from us is consistency, integrity, and transparency. And I think they want to understand how we're meeting that for them. I think they want to know that we're serving their students and our community to the best of our ability. They want to know how they can access information. They want to have tough conversations. This board has made some very, very tough decisions over the last 6 years. And we continue to hear about them, especially as we're putting forth another bond, things we've not done well in anyone's opinion. And the reality is, no matter the action the district takes for your student, for your family, it's very personal, whether or not it is from this perspective, right? So the ability to sit down with those folks and have a conversation about the why we took that action, what the impact was for their family, what the intent was for the district, and how we can improve. And then for transparency, again, sharing out. I love hearing transparency on social media because, as our council members will agree, our business is done in public, but you hear transparency. So how else can we translate that? How else can we help you understand what we're doing and where you can get that information?
Okay, thank you. Zach?
I think that what my prospective constituents would want from me, just based off of the amount of campaigning that I've done and the amount of people that I've talked to, they want somebody who is energetic and who embodies the virtues of integrity and practicing transparency. That is one of the pillars of my campaign and one of the main reasons I am running. I would elaborate more, but I do not have a lot of time. The people that I have been talking to and trying to get to vote for me, they want somebody who is going to put energy into their work, who's going to put that extra hour in, who is going to really go the extra mile to ensure that we are doing the best that we can for our students and our parents and doing a good job at representing those people.
Okay, thank you. And Susan?
Everything they all said. All of it's critically important. And it's like with big questions in our society, high numbers of expulsions, what books should be banned and what should be taught and who should, those are huge global issues that the school board plays a key and critical part in, but by no means has the scope that we as a community have. And I think that our people in the town want us to do our very best every day, given the resources we have to work with, and given the constraints of our legal system. There are other critical questions that we haven't had time to address yet, but I do want to say that attendance is a huge problem. That's affecting districts all across our nation, and those are things that I think the public expects us to address.
Thank you. So we have one last question from the audience. With so many new families moving in, how can the district help create social ties between new and returning students? And Melissa.
So this is something that our schools actually do incredibly well. Our schools have a focus on community and not just education. And so oftentimes if you live in town, you're passing a school, during the week you'll see the ice cream socials and the various events that the schools are holding. Our site councils and our PTOs do a great job of recruiting the moms and dads of the schools to, I see the police laughing, recruiting the families to come together. And then our community organizations, again, really solid partnerships with all of those organizations that support our schools. We want to know which organizations our families are involved in and how we can layer those together to support our school communities. And so oftentimes you'll see not just our school ice cream socials, but maybe a Rotary social, maybe a Lions event. They'll come in and assist us. And oftentimes under the guise of providing services, right? But we still make it really fun for families. And I think that's one of the big draws to families in this area is they know that we have a warm, welcoming community that wants to support them and that looks forward to gathering.
Kind of what Melissa said. I think that, as we see a bigger influx of families, we need to make sure that we're creating a very, very inclusive environment, creating opportunities for parent and student input, both past and new, and really creating that friendly atmosphere and empowering individuals to have a say in their school district and really come out and say what they want to see in our school district. And again, really just creating that collaborative environment, a friendly atmosphere of, hey, let's get to work, let's do this, let's go talk about this problem, let's do that. So things like that. So that's my answer to that.
I just attended, and maybe some of you did too, I almost said Ponderosa. Woo! Paradise Ridge Elementary School hosted this phenomenal Welcome Back to School for families. And there was food, hot dogs and watermelon and ice cream. And staff was on hand serving parents, and there were bounce houses. It was just a face painting, a really fun event for children and appropriate to that age level. Similar things happen at our other campuses and certainly at the high school. One of the things the district is charged with is keeping schools at a manageable size where it is a community and it is a family and everybody does know everybody and greets each other. All of those things connect a child to the school environment, and all of those things help advance that child's levels of learning. I have to stop now. The stop sign is up.
Thank you. Emily?
I think an important key of welcoming families in the neighborhood is, I would dare say, every parent wants their kids to have friends. And so it's a matter of welcoming the kids within the schools. Part of the high school, there's any number of clubs that interest them, whether it's academic, whether it's sports, whether it's chess. There's lots of different ways where you can find those people that are like you that you can be friends with. Our elementary schools, we have the back to school nights, there's carnival nights, there's movie nights, there's lots of different fun events that the kids get to just be kids and not necessarily just in the classroom. And another important part is keeping the kids in their own neighborhoods. So we as a district try very hard. If you live in Paradise, you go to Paradise Ridge Elementary. If you live in Magalia, you go to your appropriate schools. I guess I'm done.
Thank you. Now we're ready for the closing statements. And Susan, would you begin?
So I'm not a campaigner, but I tried to overcome that discomfort because it's that important to me to continue to be part of the process that the town and community is going through. Our work is unfinished. We have had to spend an inordinate amount of time, many meetings a month, some of us a week, on construction and rebuilding, and it's like home insurance. You end up learning more about home insurance than you ever thought you ever wanted to know. So I want to be able to continue in that work, and I think I have something to bring to the table, given my education, my training, my experience at nearly every level of an educational system, including mentoring new teachers and mentoring new administrators. So I don't have a lot of expertise in construction or finance, but I do know learning, and I hope you'll vote for me.
Thank you. Emily?
We, as a district, have overcome a whole lot of obstacles in the past couple of years, and I think that is proof that I am willing to put in the time and effort to get the job done. This is an enormous job. When I first got on there, like, one board meeting a month. And I don't know that we've ever only had one board meeting a month. It's very time consuming, but it's absolutely worth it. But with that said, I feel like it takes time, it takes commitment. It takes willingness to look at all grade levels, for all the way from transitional kindergarten through high school. It takes experience. It takes knowing that tough decisions have to be made, and you can't necessarily just rely on your own opinion. And so I love it. I'm willing to do it, and I hope to be able to continue to.
Thank you. Melissa?
So I'll say what I say at every one of these, and I'll start by saying, Mr. Connell's heard this, he won't be shocked. I'm going to ask that folks vote for the incumbents, and that's almost against our nature, because as a school board member, what you spend most of your time doing is encouraging the youth, especially the particularly impressive youth, right? But as you heard Mr. Connell reference several times tonight, we have a fantastic board, and one of the great things about Paradise is that our leadership holds each other to an incredible standard of integrity. And so one of the things you have to ask in that situation is, does this serve me or does it serve the organization that I'm seeking to join? And in this situation, I think the best course of action is for Mr. Connell to continue to work with local organizations and come to the board at a later date. We've got much work to do, and this board is fantastic. We've got Mr. Sherritt, who's our numbers person, Emily, who's our all things Ed Code curriculum, Brown Act person. We've got Susan, who's an educator, which you've got to have on a school board, because parents can do some strange things in a classroom when you don't speak education. So I would ask, continue the incumbents, and when one of us moves on, we have fantastic resources in the wings.
Thank you. And Zach?
Contrary to that, Ms. Crick will not be surprised for me to say this, that, this is a cause that I believe in and that I want to fight for. I believe that anti-bullying is a significant thing in our district. I think that it's something that we need to be fighting for. I believe in the principles of transparency and safety. And as Ms. Crick said earlier in this forum, don't complain unless you want to try and fix the problem. This is me attempting to fix the problem. This is my way of wanting to fix the problem. I believe that whenever I was going to our schools, it was plagued with issues. It was plagued with bullying, vandalism, violence against students. And by that I mean violence like student on student. So these are causes that I believe in. This election will end in one of two ways. I will lose, but I will lose with my dignity, knowing that I tried to affect change in this community, or I will win, and I will do the work of the parents and do the work of the students and the community, and do a good job at it. I hope I can count on your vote this November, and I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Butte County, I want to thank these candidates for running and participating in tonight's event. Thank you. Thank you. Let's give applause. And to our audience, thank you for coming, and be sure to vote. And we have a Vote 411, which is a complete California voter guide on our site. It is an excellent resource for informed voters. Please vote. Thank you.
Actually, I have to put in a plug, because at least one person asked me, how do you join the League of Women Voters?